welcome to my channel. So happy to have you here. Thank you for watching this video. On my channel you will find all things about homeschool, health, and hope in Jesus. And today I'm going to be sharing my birth story and how that really taught me a lot about trusting in the Lord's plan for our life. So today is the 20th of May, but we had our fourth baby on the 18th of May. So just about a day and a bit ago. And of course, as mums, we all have a certain way we picture this to go, especially if we've had babies before. We've had 3 babies before, and all my labors were so amazing, beautiful, supernatural childbirths, just blessed by the Lord and painless and stress-free and brilliant. And so why would I expect anything else? I mean, of course, that's what I'm expecting this time. And so my expectations were quite high. We went with the community midwifery program, and I got the midwife that I wanted from our previous birth and was so excited. But lo and behold, about maybe 2 months before giving birth, my midwife got ill, so ill that she had to leave work and couldn't be my midwife anymore, and I was handed over to some other midwives from the program. And of course, at that point, I was just so sad about it, because I really had a great bond with the midwife I had, and had had her before, and had had a wonderful experience, and all the midwives in the program are just amazing, but just knowing that she couldn't be there was just like crushing to me. So I always trust God and have great faith in Him and trust that His plan is good, but I still couldn't get past it in myself, just knowing that my midwife couldn't be there. So anyway, we got handed over, and I got another lovely midwife, but in my spirit I was just feeling so I don't know how to put it, disappointed and sad, and kind of a little bit, I think a little bit of fear and a little bit of worry got into my spirit about what was going to happen at the end. Every single birth from the beginning, I had read a book called Supernatural Childbirth, and I had been given that by one of my aunties. That book was so transforming for me, and honestly, I had those kind of births that book talks about, and they were beautiful. My contractions, for the first 2 babies, I got induced both times, and every induction was just wonderful. It was not painful. How people explained it wasn't horrible. The contractions all the way up to transition stage were just amazing. They just felt like tightenings. Once I got into transition, it wasn't frenetic or panicky. And yes, there is a great urgency there, and you feel a great all I can say is it feels like the greatest urgency, and you need to push that baby out, and that's what it felt like. But it wasn't panicked or fearful or stressful or horrible or painful. The third baby, the same story, except with the third baby I was super sick coming up to having him, and I actually really had a bad chest infection, couldn't breathe and all that. So that birth was a little bit more like I was very unfit, and so that one was a bit more hard work, it felt, than any of the others, but it was still brilliant. Anyway, so with this birth, the first thing, obviously my midwife leaving. Then the second thing was getting new midwives. Even though they were beautiful, I let some fear creep in. So yeah, I'd read the Supernatural Childbirth book, but I let that fear creep in, and that doubt and that uncertainty creep in when my midwife left. Still trusting God, but also that doubt in my mind did something. So long story short, we came to the point of, because I had gestational diabetes with this fourth baby, and I'm 40, so they call me a geriatric. What? Anyway, they wanted to induce me. So he was due on the 17th of May, and they wanted to induce me on that Monday. So starting a week before that, I was trying everything to get this baby out. Can you hear what I'm saying? I was trying everything. I wasn't trusting that God knew the timing and this baby will come when he's ready. So I put all my strength and energy into trying to get this baby out, drinking raspberry leaf tea, eating copious amounts of dates, eating pineapple, trying to go for walks, trying to sit on the bouncy ball and bounce and bounce and bounce and do all kinds of stretches and all kinds of inducing early movements on the ball. I was just trying to do everything I could to get him out. Previous to that, I was hoping he would be born on the 5th of May because that is my grandma's birthday, and she's my best friend and she lives in Africa. I don't get to see her anymore, and I just thought having him on her birthday would be such a blessing to my soul. I really wanted him then. So I set my hopes up for that date. When he didn't come on the 5th, I was disappointed. Another bit of disappointment set in. Then I was thinking, okay, no worries. He didn't come on the 5th. That's fine. Maybe the 7th. 7th is a good number. It's a holy number. I'd like that. Didn't come on the 7th. Then they told me that induction date is for Monday the 17th. And then I was like, well, I really want to get him out before then, because just once, even though all my other births were supernatural and powerful, I really would love to just have a natural birth where my body does it itself. I don't have to be hooked up to a drip, walking around with the drip or the baby monitor around my tummy the whole time of labor. Anyway, did all the things under the sun to try and get my body to get working and get this baby out. Me trying, me, all not happening, nothing happening, no movements. Had stretches and sweeps, no movement at all, showing this baby is ready to exit. Anyway, each step, more disappointment, layering on top of layer on top of layer. Still wanting to trust God, but really just going, this is not what I want. Anyway, a few things happened in between, like my midwife got caught up with a birth and she was meant to come and do a stretch and sweep on Saturday. She couldn't come, got more disappointed. Another beautiful midwife put her hand up to do it for me on Sunday. They did it, nothing happened. Lo and behold, Monday comes, induction day. They told me to ring the hospital and that they will tell me to come in. Rang the hospital at 9 o'clock when we were told to ring, and they said that they were really full and that they would call me back. Waited all day. 3:30 in the afternoon came, no call from the hospital. Anyway, eventually at about 7 o'clock, that's 7 p.m., the hospital called me and said, we would like you to come in because you are over 40. Have you had any monitoring of the baby done? And I was meant to, but I hadn't because I didn't know. No one told me. So anyway, they said, we want you to come in tonight now at 7 to get the monitoring done. If everything's good, you can go home, or you can possibly, if everything's bad, you're going to have your induction. And I just thought to myself, the whole day I was waiting for them to call me, and I was thinking, I want to do this in the day because then I'm fresh. I didn't want to go in at night when I'm tired already. And then I was like, oh, this is just too much for me. Disappointment after disappointment. Went in. What should take 20 minutes took 3 hours because the baby his heart rate was just sitting at a flat. He wasn't peaking when he was moving, and that just shows they need to see that he's active when he's moving, and he wasn't. So for 3 hours we had to sit there until they saw some movement, and eventually they said, okay, you can go home, have a sleep, and then we will contact you tomorrow now for the induction. So to wait another day. And I was really done in my spirit by then. I was just end of my rope, kind of. This is just not how this is meant to happen. So all of that just left me really frazzled. I was really frazzled by the time it came for induction day. So on induction day, they called us at 7:22 in the morning, but I was asleep and I didn't hear the call. And when I called them back, they said to come in. So I think we went into the hospital. I think we got to the hospital at about 9:30 in the morning. And when we got there, we had to sit in the waiting room for quite some time. And during that time we were sitting there, a lady came in labor, absolutely panicked, screaming, and losing her mind. And I was just sitting there going, don't need to be hearing this right now. This is definitely something I don't need to hear when I'm coming in frazzled already, and now this is it. And for all my labors, I've never had any meds, no epidural, no nothing, no intervention, because they're all beautiful. And my mind was playing this, oh my gosh, kind of games with me. So anyway, that lady got taken off. Eventually we got called into our ward, and there were two sweet midwives there. They weren't my midwives, because my midwives were out on a call and they were coming in a little bit later. Well, my midwife. And so I got introduced to these sweet, lovely girls, and talked. Anyway, they told me the plan, and the plan was that they would start the induction, and when so this was the plan. I wanted my waters broken, and then I wanted to wait 2 hours. I wanted to walk around and see if my body did anything on its own. So that's what happened. The midwife, these midwives, I don't know them at all. They were lovely. She broke my waters, and I was meant to be able to walk around up and down stairs and whatever. But then they said, well, actually, no, can you just stay in the room? So there I am, just kind of in the room, walking around in the room, and I felt like, this is not really helping me. I need to find some stairs. I need a long corridor. Anyway, my husband and I just went out, walked up and down the corridor, and found one of the footballs, and again came back in, bouncing on the football, trying to walk. Again, me trying to get it to happen. It was so frustrating that I felt like I have to try and make this happen all on my own. But I believe in this good God who knows everything, and yet I'm pushing to try and get this all out on my own. It's silly. Anyway, nothing happened. No contractions, no beginning of anything, nothing. Then they said that they would start the induction, but they were so gracious. Like, whatever I asked them, they were like, it's fine, you do you. So I said, I'd really like to wait for my midwife. My midwife said she was going to come in at 1. It could be a bit later, but she said, let them start it. But I was like, I really want to wait for you. I just would rather you be here. So anyway, they were like, that's fine. We'll wait for her. So they also say that they start the OxyContin drip at 12, and then every 15 minutes put it up from there. Now, in my last induction, my midwife, with my previous baby, my midwife only gave me a sniff of that, which she only got to 24, and she stopped, and my body did the rest. So that's what I was hoping for. Anyway, this time, I asked them if they could start at 6, because I was feeling really panicked already. For some reason, I was frazzled. I was just not in my good, strong faith that I usually am, because of everything that had happened. So they were like super gracious. They were like, yep, that's cool, no worries, we'll start it at 6. So anyway, the midwife that replaced my old midwife came in, and I was like, I'm sorry, I really wanted to wait for you, and I really want to start this strip at 6. Anyway, I don't know if she was too happy about it, but she complied with it. And so they started the oxy at 6. Every 15 minutes put it up, and 6 did nothing, 12 did nothing, and eventually I started to feel the contractions. Now, for me, I'm very blessed to say that the initial contraction stages are just like a squeezing and a tightening and a rumbling, and it's not excruciating, and I'm not I'm not feeling them like normal ladies would. So that part was fine. But because I feel them like that, I think sometimes people don't think anything's happening. And so I can still talk, I can still smile, I can still laugh, I can still make jokes. And so what happened is the midwife kept on putting the oxy up. And she got to about 48. And I was still feeling the contractions, and they were coming, and they were strong. But because of how I go about it, she obviously didn't think that much was happening, I think. And I just kept asking her, when do I need to push? Like, I'm just not sure when to push. And she's like, you've had 3 babies, you should kind of know this by now. You'll know when your body's ready. I'm like, can you just check? Because I really not sure this time. I don't know why I'm not sure. I was just so uncertain of everything this time. I just needed her assurance. I needed her to tell me when to push, and I needed her to check so that she would know if his head was there or not. It was a weird experience. I don't know why I felt like this, but actually I do, because I'd come out of faith. I'd gone into doubt and a little bit of fear, and there was a lot of that hanging around. So anyway, it came to the stage where, like, I felt like I needed to push, but I felt like I couldn't push. It was super strange, and I had to go and sit on the toilet. She said, why don't you sit on the toilet? So I tried sitting on the toilet, and when I sat on the toilet, the sensation to push was super strong. Now this was at about, so they started the drip at 1, and I think this sensation started happening maybe at about 6 p.m. I'm not sure exactly. Sorry, little man woke up and decided he needed me. So yes, at about 6 p.m. had this sensation to push, and happened to be on the toilet. And so I think I did 2 big pushes on the toilet, and I felt his head descending, coming down, and I really wasn't sure if this baby was actually going to be pushed out on the toilet, to be honest. And it was very disconcerting and very unpleasant thought. And so she said, well, I can't see anything. If you're sitting on the toilet, you're going to have to get up so I can have a look. Anyway, while I was sitting there, so I got up, and she had a torch and a mirror or something. She had a look. She's like, yes, he's coming. And at that point, I felt like I wanted to faint. I had all the sensations of, I know I am going to faint any second. So I had to sit back down on the toilet, and I'm telling my husband and her, I need to faint. I'm going to faint. And she's like, well, you can't faint here. You've got to get to the bed. We've got to get you to the bed. So here I am now. I've got to hobble to the bed while his head is coming out. This is a very graphic, it's a very detailed video, guys, but I just think people need to hear this, because not every experience is how we want it, but God certainly knows what he's doing. So hobbled to the bed, they checked my blood sugars, they were low, and I had to have some juice and a date. And so every labor, I push the babies out on my back. And everybody says that's the absolute worst position you can ever be in, but that has been my position every labor, and every labor I've only had to do about 3 pushes, and the babies are out. Strange, I know. So anyway, back to the bed we go, because I'm fainting. And previous to that, I had tried all different positions. I tried getting on the bed, holding the bed rest. I tried leaning on the bed while standing. I tried squatting, all these things, and they were so uncomfortable and weird, and I was like, this is not working. Anyway, get back to the bed because I'm fainting, get on my back, and I'm like, okay, I'm in my home position, let's do this. So again, tried to push, and yes, he was coming, but he just was not coming out. So they were like, keep going. And I said to them, no, please, I know that I need an episiotomy. I've had an episiotomy every single birth. Obviously, there's reasons for it. I don't know why they were done, but they were done. And my recovery is brilliant after, and I never have any pain with them. I don't have to take any painkillers at all afterwards. So I said to her, I was like, please just give me the episiotomy. I know he'll come out. But I think they were, they really want to save you from that trauma, because obviously maybe other ladies have episiotomies and it's horrible. And so she was like, I don't think you want that. You really, no, are you sure you don't want to try? And I'm just like, please, I don't want to try, because I know how my body recovers from it, and this is going to be the best. Anyway, finally, they consented to it. And so they said, all right, on this next push, we're going to do it. Next push, they did the episiotomy. Out his head came, and then she was like, okay, we'll just, on the next contract, okay, actually, it's all coming out at once, and boom, out he was, head, body, on my chest. Thank you, Jesus. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you, that was the most traumatic labor experience I have had out of my 4 kids. When I look back on it, I was really lost my trust that even though things weren't working out how I wanted them to, God still had this and there was a plan, but I just couldn't bring myself to get out of my own plans. I couldn't bring myself to get out of what I wanted, and that really disrupted my faith in the moment where I needed it most. And just that kind of sense of trust that I had in my midwife before, or in the obstetrician before, that was kind of broken when she left, and that left me rocked. And I mean, isn't that crazy? Isn't that sad that when things don't work out in our lives the way we want them to, we can really get distracted and the devil can really get a foothold. Anyway, that's the whole point of this story, is that we need to be super careful about what we want in our lives and what we think we should have, and we need to be super careful about holding on so tight to that we let Satan get a foothold and really rock our faith, rock our trust, and actually when he gets that foothold, things don't so much go the way we want them to, because then we don't have full trust in God. So that's my whole point, is that this whole birthing experience for me, even though it was super terrible, taught me a big lesson in trusting in God, even in the times when I don't understand and when I want what I want and I'm not getting it. And it's really taught me to be super careful about how I let those disappointments affect my life. And so even though this was the most horrible and traumatic transitional phases of labor I've ever had, number one, it really helped me to solidify the fact that I am super happy with 4 kids, and that is where we probably will stay at, which is a blessing, because, you know, I could probably just have more and more and more, because I love the baby stage and I love kids. And so that was one excellent thing about it. And the other thing that was excellent about it too was that my husband got to see a different side of labor, and how, because I'm always having it so easy, he got to see how it's actually sometimes not so easy. And he also got to see a different side of me, because even though I was in that horrific pain and a horrible situation, he said he saw a side of me that was so wonderful, that I was still treating everybody around me so kindly and still worrying about what everyone else was feeling, even though I was going through a horrible situation. And that was such a wonderful blessing from God for us to have that together. And it was also a blessing for me to see perhaps what other people go through in labor. I mean, not everyone goes through it without pain medication. I understand that, but it's a great thing to experience that side of things and to be able to, understand what some people go through, and to be able to say, I've been there and I know it's horrible, but praise the Lord that he's still got it, and we're both here. Baby and I are healthy and happy and grateful. So anyway, that's my labor and birth story. And I will show you a picture of the placenta. I know not everybody likes these graphic things, but I will show you a video of the placenta and the midwife explaining it, and that might be fascinating for some of you. So thank you for hanging around till the end. This is quite a long video and quite a long story, but I just thought it might be important for us to hear this story and to know that things work out for a reason.
Here attached to that cord. That was where baby was. So when they broke your waters, it was popping a little hole in that. And then this side is all the placenta that was attached to you. We sort of just have a look, make sure everything's all looks like it's out. We can never be 100% sure if everything's all here, so we'll talk about bleeding and things like that as well. But it all looks pretty healthy.